Hey guys, we're going to talk about the pathways of the circulatory system. So now you know the parts of the heart. You need to know what is the heart pumping the blood to. So you have a bunch of different types of blood vessels running through your body, which we'll get to in a couple of days. And they're organized into carrying blood into three different areas of your body. So the very first pathway we're going to discuss is called the pulmonary pathway. This is transporting both oxygen-rich and oxygen-poor blood throughout your body. The idea is when your right side of your heart passes blood to your lungs, it's going to be poor in oxygen. There's going to be very little oxygen there. We call that deoxygenated blood. And as it enters through the capillaries, which are very, very tiny vessels, the blood is going to diffuse oxygen and carbon dioxide between it and the alveoli. Once we have oxygen back into the blood, it'll be pumped back from the lungs to the left side of the heart, where it receives the oxygen-rich blood. We call that whole pathway the pulmonary pathway. The other pathway is pretty much the rest of the story. When you think about blood moving around your body, you think your body. So it is essentially the rest of your body except your lungs. So your blood will come from the left side of the heart being oxygen rich, or what we call oxygenated, and it'll be pumped around the rest of your body to your head, to all your organs, to your legs, to your arms, to your fingertips, anywhere else that blood needs to go. It will be passed through the systemic system. On that note, it will pick up the waste as it moves along, and it'll bring it back to the right side of the heart to be pumped back to the lungs. Now, the heart itself is its own organ, and it is a muscle. Okay, you work your muscle, it works better. We call that stroke volume, which we're going to talk about here in a little bit. But essentially, it needs oxygen as well. So it has its own pathway called the coronary system. Okay, it is a dedicated system to provide blood just to the heart. So your heart is actually covered in a sac called the pericardium sac, and that pericardium sac has blood vessels running all over it, and that's how it gets oxygen to your heart, is using the vessels around there. This picture is kind of just showing the breakdown of the two systems specifically in a way that maybe you've never seen before. So what you're seeing here, this centerpiece here, is actually the heart. It's kind of a mishmash of a bunch of different lines, but essentially if you look at where the line arrows are going, you will notice that this is the right side of the heart. It has a lot of deoxygenated blood and it's pumping it out to the lungs. So the right lung and the left lung. Now you have to remember this right here would be the pulmonary artery coming out and pumping it into the right and left lung, which is called pulmonary circulation. The lungs pass the blood back to the left side of the heart, where it will pump it out of the aorta to the rest of the body. The body will use up the oxygen and say, hey, we need more, and we'll pump it back over to the right side. So you have two systems working simultaneously together to make sure that we are giving everything that needs oxygen, but we're also not building up carbon dioxide. As a reminder, back in the respiration unit, the main point of our lungs is to get rid of carbon dioxide. It is a waste that once it builds up can kill, so we need to get rid of it. So this system works together along with our lungs to ensure that we get rid of carbon dioxide. Now, what we could do is we could circle the heart here and also write that that's called the coronary pathway, as it has its own pathway. What I would like you to do is pause, find a blank piece of paper or blank space in your notes, and I want you to draw this down because this diagram is kind of another simplified version of what we just saw before. And it'll help you when you are reviewing for how does blood go around your body. So what we have in the middle is a simplified version of your heart. Your heart is a 4-chambered sac. In fact, when fertilization occurs and a baby is created, you actually have a functioning heart at day 22 after conception. So that's 22 days into a pregnancy, a fetus actually, or an embryo, I should say, an embryo actually has a 4-chambered heart that is beating. It's not fully developed, but it's there. So essentially, it's just these 4 chambers, the right side and the left side, both broken into atrias and ventricles. So what you're seeing here is the pulmonary and the systemic system broken into 2 different sides. So we know that the right side of the heart pumps deoxygenated blood through the pulmonary arteries out to the lungs. The lungs will oxygenate that blood and send it back through the pulmonary vein to the left side of the heart. Arteries take blood away from the heart, veins bring blood towards. So the left side of the heart now has oxygenated blood, and it'll carry it out of the aorta into the body. Again, everything except the lungs. Do not include the lungs. That is not included in this. Why? Because it's on this side in the pulmonary circulation. So it pumps all of that deoxygenated blood once it's passed to our body out into the superior and inferior vena cava and back to the right side of our heart. This side of the diagram is showing systemic circulation. Both of these are very, very important and are the reason that oxygen gets passed around your body. Again, we could put a little circle around the 4 chambers and write that as a coronary system. Again, please make sure this is just somewhere in your notes as a way to help you review.